Welcome everybody to a new Boca in English episode here with Rodrigo Azurmendi. How you doing, Rodri?
Hey, Facu. Yeah, long time no see. Obviously, just a tough week, in the world of Boca. Just in what's been a tough year, right? In a very roller coaster manner, where we were like coming from a down stretch, and then last weekend we won 5-0, and we're all super excited, and we're just like, hey, maybe it's our time to have a good close to the year. And then obviously, in the middle of the week, we get the news of the passing of Miguel Ángel Russo, and just crushing, man. It's tough. Whatever we thought of him as a coach, if anyone has seen the reactions over this week, it's very clear that he was beloved by pretty much everyone as a person, and the players loved him, and everybody loved him. So just tough news, man.
Yeah, we wanted to come back to the podcast. We know who we've been a little bit MIA, with life. Like I said last time, I had a kid, so I've been sleeping very limited hours. So
Yeah.
even though they tried to get me to get the podcast a few times, and I'm exhausted all the time. But we're back because we wanted to, chat about the last three games that we haven't talked about, and then we wanted to do like a little Russo podcast so we can like honor him because kind of a shock for everybody. Russo is and was the current coach for Boca. It's not an everyday thing where a coach died on duty, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions that I have, and you have as well, and fans have. What's going to happen? Who's going to continue? We do not have any answers, but we wanted to come here and express our feelings of how we're feeling, about the situation, about what's going on with Boca. Russo, like you said, I mean, I told you guys yesterday in the chat, everybody's talking about how great human he is, how he was. And that's what you need in a football society where everything is so toxic all the time. And, it seems like a Hollywood thing where everybody hates each other and, it's not as pretty. Knowing that Russo was so loved for so many players, so many, co-workers and other coaches and other teams. Like
Yeah.
he had teams from all over the world expressing their love. I saw a picture of a few fans, with different jerseys yesterday, La Bombonera.
Yeah.
And you have one from Boca, one from Estudiantes, Millonarios from Colombia, Rosario Central, obviously, San Lorenzo. I mean, people forget how great of a career he had, even as a player. I mean, he played for the national team. He did
Yeah.
not get called for the '86 World Cup, but he was always part of the team before that World Cup. He was a great player for Estudiantes. So it's a big loss for the Argentinian football. A great guy. But mainly for Boca, right? Because now we don't know what's going on. And like it or not, we have a few games ahead of us, end of the season, trying to qualify for the Libertadores, trying to win the tournament. So we'll see. So with that being said, if you want to chat about the last three games, Rodri, we can talk about Central Córdoba that we tied 2-2. Then we lost away against Defensa 2-1, and then we won against Newell's the other day 5-0. As of 2 hours ago, Boca was in first position with 17 points. But now there's a few games happening right now. So Union is playing right now. They're tied 0-0. So now Union is on top of the table. And there's another teams playing. So as of today, everything is so tight. Before the game against Newell, Boca was in ninth position. Then we won 5-0. And then we became the top of the league. So it's really a very nice and tough end of the season. So what's your take, Rodri?
Yeah, I think a roller coaster is the best way to describe it. Both on the in the standings, in the way we played, and then it's just I think we're part of a trend. This is something that I sometimes forget, that it's like Boca is not the only uneven team in Argentina. Everyone's uneven. Like there's no one team that is like is able to win, 3, 4, 5 games in a row. I mean, we won 3 in a row, and then we fell back into this hole, So, and it's just, it feels like we're kind of like missing some opportunities to just get some distance from the teams behind us. But at the same time, when we fail to win, the other teams also fail to win. So like that's why, at the end of the last match day, there was a 4-way tie, for the lead of our group, and then in the year-long, annual table, it's the same thing. We're all within the top 4 or 5 spot. They're all within a point of each other. There's like, one team and then one a point below and a point below and a point below. So, obviously we care about Boca. So I'm going to be pissed about Boca not being, up to the standards that I expect. But no one is up to any good standards right now. So, and that's kind of what we saw. We played Central Córdoba, and the first half was just like showtime. Like it was unbelievable. Like it was probably Boca's like, first half, best first half of the year, probably until the Newell's game, this past weekend. We only went up 1-0, but it should have probably been like 3-0. And then we scored the second one, early in the second half. And we're like, okay, great. We've scored a lot of goals over Central Córdoba over the years. So it should have been like 5-0 and like a total party at La Bombonera. But then like the team dropped back, they get one back, Boca panicked, I would say. And then they end up tying it. And we went from being absolutely euphoric for the way we were playing and how we were winning to being absolutely pissed off, about how we let it slip away. And like one of the things of the criticisms at the time was that Boca, Miguel Russo was on the bench, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was Miguel's last game, on the bench for Boca, and definitely last game at La Bombonera, is that we were complaining that he wasn't making enough substitutions. Like the team was falling apart and there was no reaction from the bench or from the players.
Yeah, the thing that upsets me about that result at 2-2 is like we talked before in the previous podcast how we had 5 home games left when we talked, right?
Yeah,
exactly. We were talking about how if we win those 5 games and then you, let's say, lose 2 away and they get 3 more points away, you're pretty much set, right? So the fact that at that time all the other teams were tying or losing, Boca needed those 3 points to actually go again in the top of the table, go again in the top of the annual table. Yeah. And we tied against a team that it's a good team. Obviously, it's a team that beat Flamengo in Brazil a few months ago. But when you're 2-0 up in La Bombonera, it's always very frustrating when you end up tying 2-2, right? Yeah. It should not happen. It should never happen in the history of Boca where a team is winning 2-0 and then they tie 2-2. So losing those 2 points are key because now, even though we're in good positioning now, then we went away against Defensa Justicia. We had a terrible game, which I think it was probably like a prolonged second half from Central Córdoba to the Defensa Justicia game where
it transferred. It was the same thing.
Yeah, it was transferred to a new game, and then we lost in the last minute again for again 2 errors. Not that the teams are better than us; it's just individual errors that our players are committing because they're not concentrating enough, because maybe they're just overconfident when they're winning the games. So we lost 5 points in a week, in 10 days, that we should have had, right? So
against 2 bad teams, let's just say it. Let's just be honest.
Yeah. 2 teams are not competing. 2 teams are not like shouldn't scare you, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's frustrating because even though now we're still in first in both tables, or now second in that table, if you were to get, let's say, I'm not saying that we should get the 5 points, but let's say we get the 2 points from Central Córdoba, we'll be in top of the table with 1 less game. Then we'll be 1 point away from Central in the annual table, 3 points ahead of River. And those are the points that eventually you're going to need in the end of the season because, like you said, teams are so unorganized and they lose silly games all the time that those 2 points, even a point that you lose because of silly mistakes, are going to cost you the qualification to the Copa Libertadores for next year, are going to cost you having a home advantage during a playoff game to win the tournament.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So you need those points. So today, you look at the table, we have Union first with 18 points, and you have Tigre or even Huracan 9th with 16.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, you can go from having a home advantage throughout the whole tournament to having an away thing throughout the whole tournament. So those are the things that are key that Boca needs to step up, at least at home. We need to win every single home game until the tournament is over. So that's what is frustrating about those games. And then obviously against Newell's, it was amazing. They understood that they needed to win. We'll start winning at minute number 2, I think. And then it was just easy after that. And I like the fact that they actually went and got more goals. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes some teams are winning 2-0 and they take a step back, like they did against Córdoba. And yes, Newell's is like, you know what? We're gonna go. And Newell's, like it or not, is a terrible team right now.
Oh yeah.
But the name is an important in Argentine football. So if they tell you, oh, we're gonna play Newell's during the week, and you're like, oh, screw this. Like Newell's is a team that's always makes you difficult games. So great win last weekend. Sadly for us, Russo passed away, and now we're not going to be playing tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an advantage or not. We will see after the games are played. We don't know when that game is going to be played. I did see that Rosario Central is going to play Sarmiento on Friday 24th because they owe a game from like a
I believe River is playing their Copa Argentina semifinal game that day. So my best guess is that Boca will make up this weekend's game with Barraca Central. They will make it up more than likely on Friday the 24th because there's no games that weekend because they have national legislative elections in Argentina. So there's still be no match day or no match weekend there. So and they also so we now go back to playing. We play Belgrano next weekend on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Saturday.
Which is good because that gives us a full 6 days until we would play we would make up the next one against Barracas. This feels absolutely awful to mention it, but I think it bears mentioning that we were not going to have Leandro Paredes against Barraca Central because he's with the Argentina national team that is actually playing later today today's Friday for whoever's listening, when or later on, they'll play they play Venezuela tonight, if I'm not mistaken. And Paredes will be part of the team. So he wasn't going to play tomorrow when the game was scheduled for. And now when they make it up, Paredes will be available, barring injury, of course. So that's like the only positive thing. But we just have absolutely no idea how the team is going to react because, again, everyone loved Miguel Russo. Like, again, whatever you thought of him as a coach, and I was very critical, but just as a human being, and also just the fact that he got diagnosed with cancer in 2018, and he's been fighting that battle for a long time, and he at times was on top, like he was able to recover and go back to coaching and go back to winning again. I mean, he went back to Boca in 2020 and he got us the title with the Copa Maradona, surpassing River in the last game, and then, semifinals of Copa Libertadores. He had a great return.
And then he with Central.
Yeah, he did. And then he had a pretty decent show with the god-awful San Lorenzo team. So, he was a fighter. I mean, and he got a lot out of his teams. Obviously, he wasn't doing that with Boca this time around. And more than likely, it was because his health was just failing him, and it was just so kind of disheartening to see him on the bench like that. He just looked so frail. He's only 69. This is the most heartbreaking thing for me. He's 69. He's so damn young, he's so much life ahead of him. Forget about football, it's just so much life ahead of him at 69. And you looked at him and he looked like 90. I mean, he was just really frail and thin. And you never want to see someone like that, especially someone that gave us so much joy and happiness, if for Boca fans and for other fans as well, because of how much he won with the club.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was able to transfer some emotions to his players because Everybody loved him. The other day, I saw some players that they would ask, they will be crying in the middle of the interview. It's like today at 3 a.m. when I was feeding my baby, I went on Instagram and Jorman Campuzano, who's playing in Colombia,
Yeah.
just posted something saying, I cannot sleep. I cannot believe this happened. Like, people all around the world being like reacting to this is kind of crazy if you think about it.
Yeah.
And it's a good point that you made that we don't know how the players are going to react because it's not the same to have your boss, being replaced with one of like co-workers and assistant. We don't know how the players are going to react to Ubeda being the head coach because, like it or not, now Ubeda's title is the head coach of Boca Juniors.
Yeah.
So is he up to speed? Is the players listening to him enough? Do they trust him? Do they like him? Because maybe you like your boss, but you don't like, the other assistant
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
boss, So it's sad what happened to Russo. Like I said, he was super young. We thought that maybe he took the Boca job because he knew he had more years ahead of him. Like it or not, he changed our philosophy for the Club World Cup, even though the Club World Cup was a disappointment for Boca. Boca went there and they almost beat Benfica. They almost tied against Bayern Munich. Two solid teams. He made us believe that there was some light at the end of the tunnel because we were coming from a very disappointing Fernando Gago's term.
Yeah.
So it's sad. It's sad. I don't know how they're gonna react. I would like to believe that the players are gonna close the doors and be like, right, let's win this tournament for him. At least try our best. Let's not get complicated in some minor logistics about who's the coach or who's making the subs and this and that.
Yeah.
I would like to believe that they are thinking that way and know, like, I don't like this guy who's taking over. I mean, also we don't know if Ubeda's gonna quit, right? So
I doubt it.
you never know.
It's just, well, I mean, like Ubeda has been a coach before, including the under-20 national team for Argentina, who's obviously very relevant right now because they're playing in the World Cup. And I was going through Ubeda's record the other day, and like in the 2017 under-20 World Cup, he coached a team that had 6 future world champions, like Lautaro Martinez, Lisandro Martinez. I can't remember all 6 of them right now, but like it was an absolute dream team, and he couldn't get out of the group stage. So like he is a god of coach. Like there's no sugarcoating that. I think he is smart enough to basically not change anything from what's being done. He's gonna play Russo's style. That this modified 4-4-2 that they're playing. And he's gonna like just hope that the players just like play for Russo's memory and try to
Yeah, but
go ahead.
sorry, but I mean we don't know how he's dealing with Russo's death, right? Maybe one day he wakes up and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I mean, I would like to believe that Russo probably talked to him, hey, dude, like I'm about to die.
No, I'm sure.
Like, you should continue. Like, you should follow my steps.
I mean,
or whatever.
I think the whole let's win it for Russo. I think that it applies to Ubeda as well. I think Ubeda will want to like honor Russo's memory by sticking around at least until the end of the year, and trying to like finish the job in some way, if not winning the championship, at least getting the team to Copa Libertadores, at least winning Super Clásico, which is something we haven't done in a little while. And obviously like Riquelme is gonna probably ask him to like, hey, just please don't leave us now, And I think honestly, and again, everyone knows I hate Ubeda, but I think that like, I mean, he at this point, this late in the year, he has to stick around until the end of the year, right? I mean, it's too late to do anything else. I definitely don't want Mariano Ron to come back up once again, So like, let's just like keep playing Russo ball, this like kind of 4-4-2, basically same players. We're gonna talk about some of players and some of the injuries in a minute, but like let's just kind of stay the course because like it's actually very interesting because I think Russo won like 3 games out of 14. Like the cold numbers were a disaster. Any other coach would have not even lasted until game 14. He would have been fired after like game 10. But obviously Russo got the leeway because of his history and obviously because of his health issues. But what I will give Russo is that like when you actually watch the games, more often than not, like Boca has been played better. Like Defensa y Justicia aside, right? I mean, that game was dog shit, like you said earlier. It was a disaster. But like even Central Córdoba, we didn't win that one, but we played well. Newell's, we played very well. Central, I thought we did a pretty good showing on the road against probably the best team in the country right now. And just we've been like the defense has been pretty steady. We've been creating a lot of chances. We were missing a lot of chances. Obviously, they all went in against Newell's, and that's why it was 5-0. But like a lot of games, even like looking back, some games like against Racing, I heard an interview with Riquelme saying, "Oh yeah, we played Racing, we like should have won that one." I'm like, do we? So I watched the video, and yeah, we created a ton of chances. We missed all of them. They scored, and then we scored at the very end to tie it. So like the one thing you have to give Russo credit for is that the team was playing better. I didn't agree with the system. I didn't agree with the results. I didn't agree with like the players he was choosing. But whatever he was trying to build or trying to implement it seemed like it could have like just borne some fruit. But obviously, unfortunately, now we won't be able to like to see it through.
It just sucks. But it's the situation that we're in, so we gotta deal with it. With that being said, coming back to how tight everything else, while you were talking, Central Córdoba scored against Unión. So Central Córdoba, who was in 10th position, is in first right now.
Yeah.
And Unión, who was in first, is in third. So if you look at it, anything can happen. I mean, it's going to be nice to look at on Monday and see what happened during this week and kind of like plan ahead, because again, we had one less game and we're like, all right, if we win those 2 games, we're this and that. But again, we don't know what's going to happen. So we are very tight end of the year. We need to get as many points as we can, because if not, it's going to be very, very complicated. The annual table is very tight, like you said. Like Central has 53, Boca has 50, River has 49, Argentino has 49, Riestra has 47. So it's 5 teams, 2 spots, and only 3 to 6 points difference, right? So you lose 2 games in a row, you might be out.
You're out, yeah.
So
hey, hell, you lose.
Now Defensa Justicia score. So Defensa is in first, Central is in second, Boca is in third.
Yeah.
So anything is going to change until the last game. So that's why every single point that we can get, we should not waste points. I mean, it's okay if we have a bad game and we lose, but we cannot have good games, be 2-0 up, and then lose the points, right? Even with Defensa Justicia, like we tied it in the stoppage time, and then a minute later they won it. That's another point that we don't have.
That's a point that we're gonna miss. That we hopefully we won't, but that we could very likely miss. The other thing you were saying is that like we can't afford to just like fall apart, mentally, even with obviously this tragic situation, because like you lose 2 games, you might not even make the playoffs, right? I mean, it's like everyone is like separated by 3 points. You lose a couple in a row, and you might not even make the playoffs. So like it's just. It's gonna be tough. We're not even gonna have that break anymore that we were gonna have 2 weeks from now, because obviously we're gonna have to make up that game with Barracas, who's also like a direct rival, in both tables. So it's.
So just to remind everybody, we have Belgrano coming up. Then we have Barracas away. Then we have Estudiantes away. That back-to-back away games are going to be very important. And you have River at home and then Tigre at home. So it's going tough. I mean, we got to win against Belgrano to kind of like...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Show them that, hey, we're still here. We recovered from this tragic event. And then we go back-to-back away, and then we go back-to-back at home. So that back-to-back away, we need to get at least 3 points out of the 6, right? And then we had to beat River, and then we had to beat Tigre. There's no options. We had to win the 3 home games. We got to get 9 out of 9 in those 3 home games, and then get 3 points in the way, and then we're in everything. We're probably going to finish first in the table, and then we're probably going to qualify for the Libertadores. So, like it or not, it's 15 points left. We had to win 12. That's it. No excuse.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And obviously, the game against River might determine who makes Libertadores and who doesn't. So it's going to be absolutely just crucial to get that one. And yeah, man. And the problem is that, like, some of the things we were building recently, they kind of fell apart because of injuries. First, Edinson Cavani got injured, and that actually might have been a blessing, in disguise, because he was just god awful. And like Milton, and not just that, Milton Jimenez came in, and Milton Jimenez has been pretty good. So that's kind of helped. And this week, actually, the morning of when the news of Russo's passing was announced, he had a setback. Cavani had a setback, so he's probably he was ready to come back. Apparently, he was on the bench against Newell's, and he didn't end up coming in, but like he was supposed to play against Barracas. Now he's probably going to be out at least a couple of weeks, if not more. It takes him so long to heal up that like we have no idea when he'll be back. And the worst piece of news is that Alan Velasco, he had a collision in practice with Tomás Belmonte, and he had an MCL sprain, and he's going to be out probably
about 3 months.
Yeah, probably through the end of the year. So we won't see him until preseason next year, which sucks because like Velasco, he's been underwhelming to say the least throughout the year. They paid 10 million for him, and he's just been not worth 10 million. But the last 2-3 games, he's been pretty decent. He's been playing better. I'm not gonna say he's been playing well or up to the level that
he's a very good sub. It's a player that comes in and you're like, oh.
Well, he started the last couple and he played well.
But then he comes in and I was like, all right, if the game is not going your way, he comes in, you're like, all right, Velasco for the last 25 minutes, he can give us something, That was the feeling I was having. And some other players just come in and you're like, oh, no, please no. But other players like him, like even though he haven't performed the way that we wish, every time he come in and you're like, all right, he can make a difference. So
he's very active and generating a lot of danger for the other team, especially because the reason why he came into the starting 11 was because Carlos Palacio also got injured before him. So the uncertainty right now is at its highest point. We have no idea who's going to be available against Belgrano next weekend. I mean, the good thing is that we have a full week to find out. But Cavani's not going to be available. Velasco is not going to be available. Palacios, who knows? Maybe like Kevin Zenon he's kind of been returning to to the bench, and we're probably going to need him either off the bench or in the starting lineup. And we're definitely going to need more from Paredes. Anything he can give us is good right now. And we need the defense to just put some zeros up, So it's tough, man. We're running out of good players. We didn't have enough to begin with, and we have the most important stretch of the season coming up.
Yeah, so we'll see with that. Very interesting, Rodri. I don't know what to tell you. Anything else you want to chat about it? Do you want to do any Russo comments?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that
memories.
We can talk some memories. I do want to go through some of the stuff he won because he had an interesting career. He didn't win his first title until his 16th year as a head coach. But he was actually responsible for he brought Estudiantes back from second division. He got him promoted. He got Lanús promoted. And then later on, he got Rosario Central, basically one of the Argentinian's giants. He brought him back from second division. So obviously, those 3 fan bases love him. He was a champion with Vélez, in 2005. That was his first title, and that's basically what earned them the shot at being Boca's coach in 2007. And that's when he wins Copa Libertadores, with Riquelme and that glorious team. And then later on, he wins with Millonarios in Colombia. So
that's when he started. That's when he got the cancer, and he was going to chemo during the day, and then he was practicing at night. So that was his first big setback with this, disease. So I mean,
Yeah.
props to him to actually do that and actually become champions with a team that, at that point, Millonarios haven't been winning a title in years in Colombia. So yeah, same.
Yeah, so they adore him over there in Colombia, and then he comes back to Boca in 2020. After we lost, in 2018 Copa Libertadores, 2019 semifinals against River, and he comes in and he kind of like basically overnight he solves the issues again that we've had against River. He wins the title from them in the last game. He wins them he beats them in every head-to-head, penalties or otherwise. And then like I said before, he got us to the semifinals of 2020 Copa Libertadores. So like a pretty good second stint, I would say. And then, like you mentioned earlier, he got Rosario Central to win a championship again. So it's just a very solid, very awesome career, for someone who started a little slow, earlier in the mid 90s, and then he just ended up becoming one of the better coaches around.
Yeah, what I really like about him, and I always appreciate it from somebody like Russo, is like he understood what Boca meant, right?
Absolutely.
He never
100%.
played for Boca. He never did anything for Boca. And then when he got to Boca, he understood his seat. He understood what he had to do. He understood how passionate he had to talk about the team, the fans, and like he always protected us, right? Even though he wasn't his job, he was never relying. He was always thinking about what's best for Boca, what's best for Boca, and what's best for Boca. He always showed us, at least I felt like he understood that the priority was the club, the team, and everything else but him. And I don't know if this is true or not, but reports are saying that he asked to wear Boca jerseys in the last few days of his life. I don't know if that's smoke or not, but let's like to believe it. It's somebody that actually, you saw an interview with him when they interviewed before the World Cup, the Club World Cup, how happy he was for have the opportunity to be a Boca coach. And they even asked him, why are you doing this? Why are you not home? It's like, because it's me. I see a challenge for Boca, and you can never say no to Boca. And that's for me, it's everything, right? Like that's what you need as a coach. That's what you need as a president, as a player. Somebody that looks at the badge and they're like, this is what it matters, right? So that's why I appreciated him a lot. He won the last Libertadores for us, and like it or not, it's been almost 20 years. And he was the last one to win it. People can say that Riquelme was, one of three. So people can be like, oh, Riquelme was outstanding. Yeah, but he was the one that sat in front of the press before the Copa Libertadores started, and he was like, Riquelme is going to be my number one player. It's going to be Riquelme's plus 10. He said that. It's not like he came out of nowhere. He brought him back, and he got the best out of him. Maybe in training he got the best out of him. Like, who knows? And he won us our 6th Copa Libertadores, and not many teams have 6 Copa Libertadores. So that's very valuable. Like, he's going to be always in the history of the team as one of the 3 coaches that won the Copa Libertadores. So I do want to say that I'm going to miss him a lot. He was very fonded for me. Like I like the way he felt about Boca, and I was going to remember that.
I think, and just to build on top of that, is that he was, obviously there's some jobs, I would say probably Real Madrid job, Manchester United. There's a handful of jobs that are just so stressful that even though you're in the, you have the best players and you get the biggest salary and everything, you see these people in these jobs and they're miserable. It's the pressure, it's the commitments, you have to do a lot of press and you have to do a lot of marketing. And then you have to just win every game. And even if you win, it's like not good enough because you didn't play well enough. And it's like Russo, he cracked the code on just finding a way to just enjoy it. You do not see, I was trying to remember who's the last coach that seemed to genuinely enjoy coaching Boca. And it might be Guillermo Barros Esqueloto, because he's a psychopath. He's just he embraces the adversity and the pressure. But before that, you see that you see Gago, he was always frowning, like just and like looking back, all the coaches, they're all miserable. Like they all I mean, obviously they love the salary and they love the fame, but they absolutely just hate being there, man, because it's just, they were annoyed and like they didn't like the criticism. And Russo just took all of that in stride. He loved it. He loved every minute. Like he would have been, I don't think he would have, like from the moment he came in 2007, if it would have been up to him, I don't think he would have never left. Like he would have just stayed. Like I'm gonna stay until like I pass away, And like basically, he got a chance to come back. He's like, absolutely, fuck yeah, I'm coming. And like just
how different the times are, right? Because he got fired for losing the Club World Cup against AC Milan.
Yeah,
that's how high he left the club, right?
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't fair. Like he lost 4-2 against a very solid AC Milan team.
Yeah, great team.
With Golden Boot players, with Ballon d'Or players, with Kaká in superb form. And like it or not, he couldn't play Riquelme in that tournament. And like it or not, we only lost 4-2, in a team that was better than us, and then he got fired. He never had his chance back until 2020. Then he comes back and actually showed us that he was capable of doing something again. He brought us to a semifinal Copa Libertadores. Like it or not, we haven't been there in a long time. So, it's very hard to get there, as soon as you get your team. That's what I meant. So we're going to miss him a lot. Hopefully the end of the year is a good end of the year. Hopefully nothing weird happens with Uber. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. Seems as of today that he's going to continue being the coach. But yeah, we're going to miss him a lot. I'm going to miss Miguel a lot.
Yeah, no, me too. And yeah, just let that be his legacy, right? Of just like, and hopefully we get more people like him that actually like enjoy being there, and just feel so lucky to be there and feel the colors and the jersey and the badge like he did, So yeah, we're gonna miss him. Obviously, rest in peace. Obviously, condolences to the family and to his friends. And we're there, with all the fan base and obviously a lot of other fan bases. I mean, they like everyone's just hurting right now. And but yeah, let's he'll be fondly remembered for sure.
Yeah. So with that being said, Rodrigo, anything else you want to chat about?
No, that's it. And let's go get these final handful of games and let's at least qualify to Libertadores.
12 points out of 15, and we're in. We're gonna end the year hopefully happy. If we get those 12 points, then we got the playoffs, so we can get to enjoy the playoffs. If we win, it's complicated to win those playoffs because it's a one-game elimination. It's like a World Cup. Anything can happen, right? You get a double yellow in the last 20 minutes of the game, and you might lose, and you're out. So that's why we're gonna win 12 points out of 15 and call it a day. But yeah, Rodri, thanks again. Hope everybody is listening again. We're probably just gonna try to do more podcasts soon, and we're gonna keep this going. So Rodri, thanks again, and until next time.
All right, bye guys.